Okay, so quick questions when we start our chapter. I want to ask would be, what do you think the term life processes refers to? According to you, what is life processes? Yes, Anika.
I would say life processes is the processes in our body that help us survive our everyday life.
Okay. And yeah, I saw somebody else also raising their hand. I think Megha and Ishita, right? You all also would like to answer?
Yes, ma'am, I had raised. I essentially meant to say that they're the essential and the basic processes that are required to maintain our body. So, for example, respiration, excretion, etc. Because if they're not carried out, then we could be in danger.
Okay. Okay. Megha, you wanted to add anything else?
No, that was basically my point as well.
ठीक है. Okay. Right. Just 1 second. Right. So yeah. So all of you have mentioned the correct points. Life processes are basically, you could say they are kind of, okay, for lack of better word, they are basically processes which are required to maintain or to sustain life. Right? Basically, processes which allow you to continue life or which keep you alive. That's what life processes refer to. Okay, now that we are clear about the meaning of this term, can you give me some examples? Like Ishita gave us one, which was respiration. What other examples can you think of? Okay. Yes, Vayam.
Nutrition.
Okay. Yes, Agrima, you can go ahead.
Excretion.
Okay, and Megha.
Transportation.
Okay. Excretion. You have transportation. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Ashka. Tell me. I'm not able to hear you, Ashka.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I was saying digestion.
Digestion. Okay. Anything else? Respiration, nutrition, excretion, transportation, digestion. Okay. Anything else you can think of which we need to survive? Like if we stop that process, we won't be able to survive. Okay. We have.
Circulation.
Okay. Agrima says circulation. Okay.
Reproduction.
Okay. Was that Ashka?
Reproduction.
Reproduction. Okay. Just 1 second. 1 second. I'll be back. Yes, so Ashka said reproduction. Okay, so Ashka, I have one question. If you say reproduction, is it necessary for life to go on? Like if there is no reproduction, would we die?
No, ma'am. We won't.
Okay,
But our race won't survive then because eventually every human they die.
okay, so you're saying in general the species would die. Okay, species would die. Thank you. Okay, right. So, okay, I'll come back to reproduction then in a bit. So all these examples you all gave are correct, which is respiration, yes, definitely required for us to survive. If we stop breathing, yeah, we can hold our breath only for a couple of seconds, isn't it? If we stop breathing, we will die. Nutrition, yeah. Without food, you can't survive for more than 2 to 3 days. Excretion, yes. If there's a buildup of toxic waste inside your body, that leads to, internal decaying, and eventually you will be in a position where your body has to fight extra or to just, perform normal processes. Transportation, yes. So transportation is like a, I could say, a general term, where in plants it would refer to the movement of water and minerals and wastes, etc. Right? But in humans, we could call it as circulation. So both these terms are correct, but they can be used, they can be clubbed under the common heading of transportation. Right? So circulation would not be an extra process. And of course, we have digestion. Digestion again comes under nutrition. Uh, so nutrition basically is like all the parts, right, from where you get food to the part of your each and every part of your cell getting that food. So all that comes under nutrition. So of course, breaking down food and digesting it so that it is in a form which is usable to the cells, everything would come under the nutrition umbrella. Right. Coming to reproduction. Reproduction, uh, as you say, the species would die, right? So reproduction, what happens is, it's not necessary for okay, where is this blue color? Yeah. Reproduction is not exactly a life process because we don't require it to survive. Like if there's no reproduction, it's not going to be that you're going to die if your reproductive organs are not functioning, or for any reason. A life is not going to end because of that. So this does not come under the life processes umbrella. This is also a life process, but since it's not required for survival, it's kept as a separate kind of a process. Which of course, when we do reproduction, also you will learn about it. Oh yes, somebody has a question. Yes, Agrima, you have a question.
Ma'am, reproduction would be a non-essential life process, right?
Yes, it would be a non-essential process. Yes. So, Ayam, you had a question or you forgot to lower your hand?
No question, just forgot.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Okay, yeah. So reproduction comes under a different umbrella, mainly because, yeah, like you all said, it is a non-essential process, right? And it's required for species continuation. So when we do reproduction, we will also learn about why it is not a part of this chapter and why it is separate. Mainly because what happens, the body first looks at all these processes. Up to a certain age, you are in the development phase. Where basically your cells are trying to grow, your bones, muscles, everything is just trying to basically grow and reach a stage called maturity. You might have heard this term also, no? It's called puberty. Have you heard it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
In the
ma'am.
last class,
Okay, right. So
ninth.
basically, puberty is the stage wherein you reach a point. Okay, in simple terms, if I were to say, puberty would be the stage wherein your reproductive organs start getting active. Right. So until you reach puberty, your system is basically involved in only development. Once your system knows that, okay, we have reached the stage, all the cells are matured, we have got adequate of everything, and we are at a stage where the system is in a position to continue the species, then it will reroute all the materials or all the resources to the reproductive parts. That's why you will observe changes during puberty. right? Okay, I went off into another chapter. I'll come back here. Right. So basically, because of this, reproduction is not an essential life process, because first the body looks at achieving all of these, and then once it knows that yes, it is capable of surviving, it has got all of these properly, then it will dedicate all the resources to reproduction. Okay. So these are our basic life processes. Okay, let us start. Right. So some of the basic characteristics of living organisms are okay, yeah, y'all can only tell me what are some things living organisms can do.
Locomotion.
Right. Okay. Yes, Anika, you can go ahead.
Yes, and even I wanted to say locomotion.
ठीक है. Okay. Anything else?
They grow over time.
Okay. Grow over time. I can put it under development. ठीक है. Okay. Anything else? I think some points should overlap with what we
Movement, reproduction.
reproduction. Right. Yeah, you can add reproduction here.
Respiration.
Respiration. Correct. Nutrition also, no? That's what some points would overlap with what we had said. Right, so I'll just. These are some of the characteristics. It's not limited to these are some major ones, right? First movement, like locomotion movement, both are one and the same, right? That would come here. Then we need air, food, water, etc. to survive, right? All living things need some form of food to survive. Then we have growth, development, growth, like you said. Then, of course, reproduction, then respiration, excretion, respond to changes. This is a part of your control and coordination chapter. How do you respond to changes? Right? This is another chapter. So, in this chapter, we cover all these characteristics. Growth, not that much. Food. This also is a little bit here. Right, so these are some of the basic characteristics of living organisms, or basically what all processes go on in living organisms. That's another way of saying this. Right. Okay, so this is the
Ma'am, I didn't note down that chart.
no, not required. That's basic introduction, not required.
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay, I'll tell you whenever you need to write things. No, I'll tell you and I'll wait also. Okay, don't worry. Right. So this is as we discussed. Every living thing undergoes continuous maintenance. Yeah, you can take this down. I would suggest you can take down this chart if possible in your, with a pencil or a rough chart, because this is the sum total of whatever is written here. It's an easier way to remember also. You just take this down is good enough, right? So every living thing undergoes continuous maintenance, right? You can think of we keep undergoing maintenance which is not really visible, so it happens at a cellular level. There are a lot of processes which are involved in keeping you alive and well at all times, right? Yes, and energy is required for these activities, and the processes which perform these maintenance jobs are called life processes. And there are four main, which are nutrition, transportation, respiration, and excretion. These are the broad categories. Of course, under nutrition, you have getting the various raw materials from sources, then breaking them down into a form which you are able to utilize. So this would be different for different organisms. Then under transportation, you have means and ways of ensuring the raw materials for nutrition reach the correct place, and the finished products like the broken down products, or in case of plants, the food which is produced is taken or is transported to each and every cell, right? Then for respiration also you need some raw materials. So how those raw materials are also moving, that also comes under transportation. So transportation covers a lot of things actually. Then respiration is basically breaking down of the food that you've taken in through nutrition. And excretion is how you get rid of all the remaining waste which you don't require, right? That also has to be eliminated. You really can't, accumulate. Yeah. So this is all it is. So life processes is basically how you are staying alive. And these are the main processes. How do they happen is nutrition, you get fuel, raw material, then you distribute stuff. This is transportation, like I said. See, once you understand once you understand this in simple terms, then even if I keep telling you all these technical terms like transportation, respiration, cellular respiration and things like that, you will not keep getting confused as to what am I saying, right? In your head, it will be fixed that distribution means transportation. Basically, that's it, right? You can remember transportation like how do you get from home to your school? So you need some kind of vehicle like your school bus or a car or an auto or a BST bus or something, right? These are some of the examples. So the way transportation in that kind of an example becomes a way to reach one place to another. So same thing for organisms, transportation becomes how do you transport materials, right? Or in basically here it would be biological substances. Then how do you burn it, right? This you can think of when you take fuel. So if you have cars, or you have seen, if you visit a petrol pump regularly, then you put in the fuel in your fuel tank and then your car burns that fuel, and that's how it takes you places, right? So the same thing is required in your body as well. So whatever raw material and whatever fuel you've taken in, that needs to be burnt in order for other things to go on, right? For all your cells to be active and to do their function. So that is what is respiration. And whatever is not required, you throw out. Like you have an exhaust in your car. Yeah, I think the very best analogy here is a car, right? Let me draw one. You can maybe, if you want, you can draw the car also, right? To just understand. Yeah, so this is our exhaust. Since I've drawn it so beautifully, let me label it. Okay, this is your exhaust. This would be the windows. And yeah, main thing I wanted to show is this. Yeah, we make it red. Yeah, fuel tank. Right? Okay, and this is your engine. Where is the engine? Somewhere here. Right? So first thing, you put fuel in the fuel tank. This becomes one. Then in the engine, the fuel is burnt. I'll write it here. Fuel is burnt. Correct? Then your car moves, of course. 3 car takes you places. Correct? And fourth would be right. Yeah, so you can use this analogy to remember this flow chart. Same thing happens in all living organisms as well. We need some kind of fuel that's different for different organisms. Then you transportation, respiration, and this is excretion basically. Yeah, you would have got it by now. Right? Okay. Once this simple picture is clear in your head, then I think whatever technical terms or whatever in depth, whatever we are going to study under each of these processes will be clear to you, right? Because once you know nutrition is basically getting fuel, then what are the different kinds of fuel you can get? How do you make that fuel in case you are able to make it on your own, right? All those things you'll understand properly. Okay. Okay, have you taken this chart down? Should I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Done, right, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Clear. Right. So, like we mentioned our first step is always getting the fuel. And how do you get the fuel is basically nutrition. Okay, now you will learn about different types of nutrition which is there. Which basically this is our flow chart. This is all we are going to learn about. How it is different in case of autotrophs. So autotrophs are basically organisms, or in this case you can just say plants, right? Plants and some types of algae which manufacture their own food, make their own food. Of course, you might have done this before also, right? In EVS or maybe under science only previous years. And you have heterotrophs, which are all other organisms which cannot make their food. These are the main two types which we will discuss under nutrition, right? For now, you can just ignore this. There is a flowchart again for this. Once we discuss heterotrophic, I would like to discuss about this after that. So I made this PPT in such a way that you can use this when you are, trying to revise just before your exam. So with that time, this flowcharts and things like that will come in handy. Okay. Oh, yeah. Right. So yeah, basically whatever I just said. So how you get your fuel, the different types of fuel you can take in, like carbs, fats, proteins, right? And their utilization by an organism in various activities, that is nutrition. This is essentially the definition. Yeah, you can take this down. Right. And it's different for different organisms, like I was mentioning. This we'll do in detail. So yeah, you can write it, or you can write it in the following slides. So nutrients are basically substances which give us energy, right? Which give us the necessary, which basically become your fuel. Okay, done. Shall I go ahead?
Oh, 1 second.
Okay.
Are we supposed to write the definitions in the definitions too?
Yeah, you can take this down. This
All
definition.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, done. Shall we go ahead? What happened? No response from anyone.
Everyone's writing.
Others done?
I'm done.
Yes, I'm done.
ठीक है.
Ma'am, ma'am, salam.
हाँ, okay, I'll wait.
Yes, ma'am, done.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am, done.
done. What happened? All of you switched off your videos also. For me, I really can't keep it on because my PC does not have that kind of. Okay, I'll keep mine on. I'll try to keep mine. Okay. Okay, done. Let me go ahead then. Right. So first part, which is autotrophic nutrition. So yeah, here we have the simplified terms. So is this is like one thing which I like to do. Not sure if it really helps or it increases your trouble. But yeah, if it helps, it's great. So whenever you see these kind of technical terms, right? Bio may you come across a lot of new terms. You always try to break it down. Break down that word and remember it. Because when you just try to muck up the word as it is, there are chances you might forget what it was in the crucial moment when you need to write it, right? But when you understand what it means, then once and for all, you to be registered in your head that okay, this is the word and this is what I had to use, right? Like for example, autotrophic. If I just keep saying autotrophic all the time, you might not really understand what it means. Whereas if I tell you, you break it down, and auto usually refers to self, right? These are all derived from Greek or Latin words, right? So in Greek or Latin, auto refers to self and troph refers to food. Okay, so what are autotrophs now? Autotrophs are organisms which make their own food, right? It's easy to remember like this. This is what I used to feel, so I've included it here. If it helps, so great, right? Okay. Similarly, you can break down this word also. What do you think photoautotrophs would do? Take a guess.
They produce their food through sunlight or the process of photosynthesis.
Correct, right. So again, if you break down photo and auto refers to food. Sorry, auto refers to self and troph refers to food, right? And photo is basically the word for light. You know, very common word which is used, right? Photography, photosynthesis. I don't know any other word you can think of. You can add that also. Can remember these two, right? Right. So photo basically is a root word. So these are what are called root words, and photo is the root word which means light. So wherever you see photo, usually 99% it would refer to light. So photoautotrophs are basically organisms. Let me write it clearly here. Right? Photo, light, auto is self, and troph is food. So photoautotrophs are organisms which make their own, okay, it became over, own food using light. Okay, an example is green plants, right? Okay, same thing. Let us do the same thing for chemoautotrophs. Now you tell me, what do you think the word chemo stands for? Okay, what the word chem stands for? Forget chemo, forget, tell me chem. Chem to you must be
Chemistry.
chemistry you've heard. So chemistry, mein what do you study? What is it? What is that chem?
Elements.
Elements. Chemicals, yes, correct. Elements would become like a part, na? It's not just restricted to elements. Right. So chem refers to chemicals. So now can you guess what chemoautotrophs would be doing? Okay, can you guess what chemoautotrophs would be doing? That was my question. I think you all didn't hear. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Who was speaking?
Maybe they're performing chemical reactions for getting the nutrition.
Okay, quite close. Yes, quite close, Ishita. Anybody else would like to try? Use the same logic. No, I told you photo, light, and self and food. So organisms which make their own food using light. So till here it is the same thing, right? So using what will these people make their food? With these organisms, not people.
They'll make their food using chemicals.
Chemicals, excellent. Excellent, right? Okay, I'm writing the same thing again. Right, auto refers to self and troph refers to food. So chemoautotrophs are basically organisms which make their own food using chemicals. See, y'all only told me what the words mean, isn't it? So if you remember like this, you will not get confused. Now, when I tell you chemotrophs, simply chemotrophs, then you can say organisms which make food using chemicals. We don't know whether they are making their own food or they are getting it using chemicals, right? So chemotrophs would be basically organisms which use chemicals to get food. So next time I give you some complicated words like this, you will not get confused as to which is which. So remember, photo is always light, chemo is chemicals. You remember there are a lot of words with chem which start with chem, right? Chemistry. Classic example is chemistry. Another word is oh, I forgot. Yeah, chemotherapy. If you heard. It's a process to, it's a kind of a treatment for cancer where they use chemicals only, right? Chemicals and radiation. Which other word is there with chem? I can't remember. Um, okay, let's leave it at that. Right, so whenever you're learning new words or whenever you come across new words, no, try to do this. It will make your life pretty easier that you can relate it to one or the other word like this. Right. So I hope you've taken it down. These things are important. This will help you remember what is auto, what is troph, what is photo, and what is chemo. Right. And of course, the example. Photo autotrophs, of course, we all know you can list any green plant as your example. Any one which you like. Spinach, anything you eat. Cabbage, anything, any green plant you know of, you can write. And under chemoautotrophs, you just need to know nitrifying bacteria. You don't need to know the specific example. Okay. What are nitrifying bacteria? Okay. First, let me ask you all. Do you know what are nitrifying bacteria? Any idea? You heard of it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So what happens now? I'll tell you what nitrifying bacteria are. So suppose this is your plant, right? And I need to draw soil. Okay, this is soil. And we know that there is mixture of gases in the air. Okay, so now what happens is the plant can't take in these gases directly like us. It can't, just take a deep breath and inhale all the gases in. It doesn't really work like that for the plant. So the plant needs gases. Okay, it needs CO2 also, right? Okay, so CO2 and O2 it can manage to take in through its pores. But what happens with nitrogen is that it can't really absorb it in this form. Okay, when you study EVS, yeah, under EVS you might have something which is called a nitrogen cycle, right? So in that the cycle talks about how nitrogen is broken down into a form which is suitable for the plants, which the plants can take it. The plants can't really take in the N2 present in the air. So these bacteria, which are called nitrifying bacteria, they are present here in the soil. So what they do is they can take this N2. They take this N2 from the air, they break it down, okay, into smaller particles. Let's just say smaller particles here for simplicity's sake. Basically into a form which the plant can take in. So now the plant, which has its roots here, the roots take up this broken down nitrogen, and then it can transport it to wherever the plant requires it, right? So the nitrifying bacteria basically help the plants by breaking down nitrogen into a form which the plants can take up. Okay, so that's what nitrifying bacteria is. Okay. Okay, have you taken this down? Whatever I put a star mark, that much if you've taken down is good enough.
Yes.
Done. Okay. Right. So we'll talk about a little bit more about autotrophic nutrition in plants. Then we'll go to humans. Then we have amoeba also, and then humans. Okay. So autotrophic, like we know right now what is autotrophic. It is a kind of nutrition where inorganic materials like carbon dioxide, water are converted into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So this is your definition for photosynthesis. Okay. Again, you can break down the word. Of course, you've heard photosynthesis so many times that it is easy to remember. But if you break it down, it basically means light, and synthesis means making, right? So plants make their own food using light. So this term photosynthesis actually means that you're making food using light. Okay, and this is the definition. So you can take this down. I'll put a star here, right? And the carbohydrates which are not used immediately are stored in the form of starch, which serves as an internal reserve. You can take this down also, important. Can you give me an example of a starchy vegetable?
Sweet potatoes.
Excellent. Any other example?
Ma'am, potato.
Potato. Excellent. Anything else? Okay. Okay. Two good examples. Potatoes.
Lady
Sweet
finger.
potatoes. Sorry, I didn't hear you. So I am. You said
Lady finger.
lady's finger. No. Lady's finger doesn't have starch. Okay. Sweet potatoes, right? And you can even say, I don't know if you've had, we call it suran or yam. I don't know what is it called. Okay. It's that big, weird looking vegetable. Okay, forget it. I can't describe it like that. Okay. These are all examples of, what are these examples of? Okay. This is example of where the plant stores the starch, right? So now you can connect everything. The plant is making food in the leaf, and then whatever that extra food that they have made, they go and store it in potatoes and sweet potatoes and yams and things which are generally known as tubers. Usually most of the tubers are rich in starch. Correct? Okay. And which is the test? Okay, this might be little. Okay, I'm asking a little bit tricky question here, but maybe you all might know. Which is the test which you do to identify starch? Anybody knows?
Ma'am, first you destarch the leaves and
Okay.
then store them in I think in a airtight container to with sunlight to see if they still have starch.
Okay. Acha, you're telling me the entire procedure. ठीक है. Okay. Yes, agree, Ma. You wanted to tell me?
Ma'am, the iodine test.
Correct. Yes.
We've all done this in the 7th grade, actually.
You had it, na?
So,
Correct. Okay, great. Great. Yes. So you identify star choosing. Okay, I'll write it here. I'll remove this. Okay. Yeah, so in case any of you forgot or you've not heard of it before, what happens is where whatever thing you want to test for starch, of course, we generally use potatoes only because we want to show you that it has starch, right? We want to show you a positive result. But you can test it for any part of the plant or anything. In fact, if you're feeling adventurous, you can take microorganisms and test for starch. You can take a drop of your blood and test for starch. Anything that doesn't matter, right? So how do you identify is basically you have this reagent in the lab itself. It is like iodine. Okay, it's the element iodine, liquid iodine in a bottle, which is blue in color, right? And what happens is when you put few drops of iodine on anything which has starch, okay, I'll write it here. Positive result, which means it has starch, right? Would be blue black. Okay, you can take this down because they ask you application based questions. Usually they ask you this as one question. They would block in a part of the leaf and all that. I think what Ishita was explaining, right? That entire experiment. Sometimes they ask you just the result. Okay, so positive result means when it has starch, it would the whatever you're testing would turn blue black. Okay, whereas negative result, yes, Agrima, tell me.
the positive result is blue black and the negative result is yellow cream in color, right?
No. Negative result is brown usually.
Okay.
Iodine does not really turn yellow. I'm not sure of that. Yeah. Usually it would be brown. When it is positive, you can distinctly see. When it is negative, basically the absence of this color is usually taken as a negative result. But just for simplicity's sake, I'll write brown here. Okay. Brown. Right, so you can add this. So yeah, some of the application based question, what they do is they'll give you, okay, there's this one experiment where they ask you to check whether photosynthesis has occurred or not. Yeah, I think I'll explain to you when we come to it. Yeah. So they'll take this leaf and they'll block some part of it. Okay, they'll put tape or they'll put something and block it. Right. So what basically they are doing is either this part or this part only will be able to perform photosynthesis. The other parts are not given the conditions which is required for photosynthesis to happen. So basically, if there's no photosynthesis, there would be no starch, right? So you are required to identify that there is no photosynthesis happening there, and you are required to say that okay, this part of the leaf will be brown, or this part of the leaf will be brown or blue, black, and so on. So this is one kind of question which is which they love asking, which is an application based question. Okay. So yeah, for that you need to know this information. Okay. Okay. Sorry, have you taken it down? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. You all can at least say yes. Now I'm not forcing you to keep your video on or anything.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am. I'm still writing.
Still writing, huh? Then tell me like
I'm
that.
still writing.
I'll wait.
I'm done writing.
Done. Okay. So
Yeah.
at least tell me when you're writing or when you're done. So I know you're there and you've completed. Okay. Okay, let me know once you all are done. Yes, Agrima, you had a question?
No, ma'am, I guess I forgot to run that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. Acha. Okay, next we'll talk about photosynthesis in detail. Now we'll understand, right, what photosynthesis is, what all is required, the equation, what happens, and what are the end products. Everything in detail. Aryan, done? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who else was writing? Was it Sujal? I'm not sure.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Done? Okay. Sure. Right, photosynthesis. Okay, so now photosynthesis, you have a list of questions. So this list of questions that I'm writing here, no, you can write if you're taking down notes on the left side of your page, suppose here, you write these questions in the right side as a box. Okay, make a box and write these questions. So that when you're revising, once you've covered all these questions, you would know that you've revised it completely. Okay, so our questions go like this. Where, okay, my handwriting is so bad today. Where does photosynthesis occur? Okay, or you could say site of photosynthesis. Both are one and the same thing, right? Second question would be, okay, I'll write it here. Make a box and write. Yeah, where does photosynthesis occur? That was your site of photosynthesis. Second thing you need to know are what are the raw materials? What all is required, right? Then what you need to know is equation, of course, right? Then you need to know, okay, let me put equation next to me. Yeah, let me say end products here first. Yeah, then equation. And we have, what am I missing? Something I'm missing. Steps. Okay. So when you are studying photosynthesis, when you are revising it, make sure you have answers to all these 5 questions. Then your revision of photosynthesis would be complete. Right? All the answers to these 5 questions are there in our upcoming slide. So I'll tell you wherever what is. Okay. Right. I still feel I'm forgetting something. Okay. Keep some space below. If I remember what I am forgetting, I'll tell you. Right. Okay, so our first question is, where does photosynthesis occur? Site of photosynthesis, of course, till now you might be just saying leaves, but now you need to know where exactly in the leaf it occurs, right? Because the leaf, yes, Agrima.
I'm in the chloroplast
Yes,
because
correct.
there's a chlorophyll.
Correct, excellent, right? It happens in the chloroplast. So till now you were saying leaves that, green plants, photosynthesis happens in the leaf. That is what you had been taught. And yeah, we did not tell you in detail that where exactly in the leaf it happens. But now you can't say leaf anymore. You have to say it happens in the chloroplast. So now I can ask you a question, an interesting question here. Do you think photosynthesis will happen in the stems? Yes, Anika.
So I think it'll happen because in majority of the plants that I've seen, they are green, like the stems are green. So that means that there is chloroplast in the stem and photosynthesis will take place.
Okay, okay. Anybody having a different point of view?
I don't think that photosynthesis will happen this time.
Okay, okay. So we have both. Some say will happen. Okay, what about others? What do you think? Will happen or not happen? Okay. Okay. I guess don't want to answer. It's okay even if it's wrong, even if you've said something, really not pertaining to this and you have some different opinion also is fine.
The stems could have like photosynthesis could take place in the stems. However, it primarily takes place in the leaves. Probably that.
Okay, okay. So Shana also says, okay. Oh, what did I press? Yes. Okay. So you also say yes. Okay. Okay. Right. So I would say both these answers would be correct. Right. And as you all rightly mentioned, it occurs in stems when? When does it occur in stems? Is when you have chloroplast in them, or basically instead of saying chloroplast, ideally you should be saying chlorophyll in them. You need the pigment, chlorophyll pigment, to perform photosynthesis. Okay. So whenever chlorophyll is present, and in case of desert plants, right? I'm sure you must have studied in 6th, 7th, and I think you must have forgotten. But desert plants, they don't have leaves, isn't it? Because they lose a lot of water through their leaves. Their leaves are modified into something called as spikes or spines, right? So they just have this, your cactus. Okay, I'm not drawing anything. It's looking horrible. Okay, your cactus, right? It has these kind of pricks or thorns or things, right? These are basically called spikes. And these are only the stems of the cactus plant. Most of them don't have leaves, right? So yes, it occurs in stems. And when does it occur in stems is when it has chlorophyll and in desert plants. Okay. And generally in other plants, usually it does not really occur in stems because the leaves are sufficient. But yes, sometimes in some amount it might be occurring, like, maybe let's say 5%. Some amount might be occurring. Okay. Then I have another question for you. If I am saying chlorophyll is basically a green pigment, right? So what happens if the leaf is not green in color? What happens if it is red in color? Yellow? You must have seen leaves, right? You must have seen leaves which are not completely green. Some of them have green and white patches. Some of them are yellow in color. Some of them are, greenish yellow, red. These are the ones I have seen. Green and white. So what do you think happens there? Do they have chlorophyll, or, do they cannot make their own food? What do you think? Yes, Anika.
So they do have a pigment, just the pigment that they do have is not the green chlorophyll pigment.
Okay. Okay. Any other answer?
Ma'am, could it also be that they have lesser, sometimes the leaves of the colors of the leaves change because they have lesser nutrients?
Yes, that is, of course, that you are saying is a different case. That happens in, so what you are saying, no, will happen in green plants. Plants with green leaves, let me be specific here. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So when these green leaves get less nutrients, or, they're not getting enough carbon dioxide or enough sunlight or things like that, they can turn yellow. Or even if they've contracted a plant disease, there are some diseases which turn the leaves yellow, or, they can become dull or brown, one of these. Okay, this happens for green leaves. The question which I was asking was, some plants, they are by default they are yellow or red, or, they have these green and What is that called? Green and white patches. Okay, let me show you what I'm trying to say. One second. Right. See, I'm talking of plants like these. So what do you think would happen in these kind of plants? Will they be able to perform photosynthesis?
Yes, madam.
Okay, yes. What about the others? Some have even red leaves. No, where is that? I can't remember the plant name. Yeah, see, some of them have red leaves like this. Will these plants be able to perform photosynthesis? Was my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, all those who answered yes is correct. These plants would also be performing photosynthesis, right? What happens is they have chlorophyll. Let me get back. Yeah. So what happens is these plants, they have chlorophyll. Where should I write it? Okay, I'll write it here. So question was, does photosynthesis occur in plants with, yellow, red, green, white leaves? Right? This was the question. And your answer would be yes. Right? So what happens here is they have chlorophyll also, and along with chlorophyll, they have other pigments as well, like you all rightly mentioned. Right? The other pigments, if it is red, they could be carotenoids. Red and yellow, they are usually carotenoids, right? So those pigments, they mask the chlorophyll. Okay. Other pigments mask chlorophyll, giving red or yellow or whatever color, right? So it does not mean that the plant lacks chlorophyll. It does have it, but these other pigments have masked the color, because of which to you it looks red or it looks yellow or whatever, but it definitely has chlorophyll, and yes, photosynthesis would occur, right? So if I give you a question, if I give you an example or a hypothetical situation, and I say that this plant does not have chlorophyll, I specifically stated that it does not have chlorophyll, then your answer should be no, photosynthesis does not occur. You need chlorophyll for photosynthesis to take place. Okay. And why chlorophyll becomes a very important requirement, you will learn a bit in detail in maybe your later years. If you take up bio, you learn it in detail that time. So what happens is the sunlight. So you might have studied in physics also, right? The light also is divided into different types of lights. You have microwaves, radio waves, UV, visible light, etc. Okay, so it's only a range of light which the plants can take in and which is good for the plant to make photosynthesis. It's not like any range of light is, it can perform photosynthesis well. So getting that range of light correctly can only be done by chlorophyll. Okay, so without chlorophyll, it can't take in that range of light, and without that, it can't proceed ahead and perform photosynthesis. That's why chlorophyll becomes an important pigment here. Okay, it's just information, but yeah, this is important that photosynthesis happens in stems. This you should know when it happens in stems, right? And does it happen in leaves with different colors? This also you should know, right? This is important. Okay. Okay, shall I go ahead? Have you taken it down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. Okay, yeah, I forgot to tell you about this diagram here, right? Okay, so this diagram is there in your textbook. Basically, they call it a cross section of the leaf. This is just to show you where which part is or where exactly the chloroplast is located, right? So that you have an idea whether it is present on the tip of the leaf or whether it is present in the underside, right? Where exactly it is. That for that they have given you this diagram. So it's present just below the tip. Okay, there is just like our skin, we have a layer of epidermis, right? And then we have our dermis, right? Same thing for plants also. There is a layer of epidermis, and then you have the chloroplast sitting below here. Okay, this waxy cuticle is there to minimize water loss, right? For that reason, plants have this wax kind of covering so that they don't lose all the water at once. Then you have chloroplast, then you have air spaces, and then you have the guard cells and stomata, which forms the lower part of the leaf. Okay, this is the lower side, or you could say the underside of the leaf. Okay, I have one small video on photosynthesis. I'll show you once we are done with this. In that, you can visualize the leaf better, right? And they've shown it to you where these parts are. So I'll show you that. Okay. This diagram is there in the textbook. Usually they ask you to label it. Drawing, I'm not sure if they ask, but yeah, they ask you to label it, and all these labelings are important. You should know which is which. This is usually they'll ask you to label chloroplast only because air spaces are not important. Guard cells are important, but yeah, in this figure, chloroplast is the main important element, right? Okay. Yes, so coming to our next question, we have what are the raw materials, right? So the raw materials now become carbon dioxide. Oh, wait, I think I have it. I forgot. Where is it? Okay, I have it. Okay. Okay, I'll write the raw materials here. Yes, they're in the figure also. Yeah, but you can make a note. CO2 is your raw material, water, raw material, light, raw material, right? Without all of this, it cannot perform photosynthesis, right? Chlorophyll also you can put it as raw material. It needs it, right? All of these are required. Chloroplast becomes your site, but chlorophyll would be a raw material. Correct? So yeah, like in this diagram here, this is for your understanding. You are not required to draw it. This is important. Please take this equation down. Please take the raw materials down. You can take this down also. Yeah. Right. This diagram is basically for you to understand where it is getting the raw materials from. Water definitely would come from the soil through the roots, right? Then via the xylem, it is pulled up and transported to different parts of the leaves. Transpiration, which we had done, right, in grade 9 under tissues. Then you get carbon dioxide from the air, correct? Yeah, it's written here also, from air, from soil. Chlorophyll is already present in the leaf. It does not have to travel, or it does not have to do the leaf. A plant does not have to perform extra energy getting chlorophyll. It's already present, right? And sunlight, like I said, the chlorophyll is required to trap the correct wavelength of light. Okay, so these become your raw materials, and then your end product. So our third question was end products, right? I'll write end products here. End products may you have glucose, or you can say sugar. Sugar is a general way of stating it. Glucose is the more technical term, or yeah, technical way of stating the end product. Okay, and oxygen. Okay, very important. This oxygen is what ensures that there is life on our planet. Correct. Okay. Right. Yeah. One more thing I wanted to tell you was, if you see maybe in some other resources, or if if you're reading something on the internet, you might come across the equation which looks like this. Plus 6O2 and
Our new textbook has this. I think the old edition had 6 carbon dioxide and according to
okay, what, I'm not sure. Oh, somebody. What happened, Sujal? You got bored of the class?
No, ma'am, it's not about that. It was supposed to go somewhere else.
Okay. If you get bored, let me know. I'll show you some videos. Don't worry.
No, ma'am.
You can tell me. I'm not the type. I think you all know, right? I have not
Yes,
yelled
ma'am.
at
We
you all
know.
the whole year last year. So don't worry about that. Yeah, if you get bored, any of you, this is applicable to everybody. If you get bored, tell me. I have plenty of videos to show you. Okay. Right. So you might see this somewhere. What was I saying? I forgot. Yeah. Plus 6H2O. So you'll see H2O on both sides. It's not clear, no? 6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2. Yeah, this is what I was trying to say. So you might see this equation also somewhere. Okay, both are correct. Both are correct, absolutely correct. If you write either of them, you will get your marks. So what happens is, when this reaction occurs, okay, the plant takes in some amount of water and it gives out water as well, which is used up in the other reactions which occur. So photosynthesis is not just one step reaction, it is a combination of many reactions which occur, which finally leads to this. Okay, so in one of the reactions which occur, there is something called splitting of water. Okay, so that water splits to give you the glucose, and then there are a couple of reactions which happen later, wherein that water molecule is formed back again, right? So you actually get water also as your end product, but at this stage, when we don't want to confuse you, we've avoided it, like we've kept it only glucose and oxygen. Yeah, but you might come across this equation and wonder that which is correct, so I thought I'll just tell you that both are correct. Okay. In chemistry, you must have started doing balancing of equations, right? Have you started, or time for that? Started. Correct. Okay. Right. So there you must be learning how to balance every element on both sides of the equation. The same thing has been done here. If you see, there is 6C on the left and there is C6 or 6C on the right as well. So if you notice, all the elements have been balanced, right? H2O, HO, everything has been balanced correctly. Same thing here. So because you've added the 6H2O here, the H2O on the LHS has become double. Okay. So make sure that whenever you are writing this equation, you are writing these 6 numbers also correctly in front. Okay, this is the balanced equation. You have to write balanced equations wherever possible, since you know how to balance now. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and this is the chemical formula for glucose. So sugar, yeah, as you might learn in chemistry, now also a little bit later towards the end probably. There are different types of sugars, right? There is glucose, there's fructose, lactose, galactose, lot of them are there. Okay? So each of the sugar has a different chemical formula. So you need to remember this one, which is for glucose, C6H12O6. Okay. Okay, done. Shall we go ahead? Let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Others, have you written?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. And yeah, after the equations, I had given one more question, right? Which was steps of photosynthesis. Correct? So these are your steps. Sorry. Okay. Or you can even call them events occurring during photosynthesis. So you can put this also as your heading, one and the same thing. Okay, these three important steps, you just need to remember these three statements as it is. Okay, like I mentioned, photosynthesis is a very complex process. It has a lot of cycles. Okay, if I were to tell you, there are some reactions which occur in the light, and then there are some reactions which occur in the dark. Okay, so there is a lot of bifurcations. It's not a single step reaction. There are a lot of bifurcations and a lot of sub reactions which end up with glucose and oxygen, right? So all those steps may say, you just need to remember in brief that first, light is absorbed by chlorophyll, right? You can make a flow chart also and write. You can put arrows here like this and write. Okay, light is absorbed by chlorophyll, right? Then that light is converted to chemical energy, and splitting of water molecules happen, where water molecule is broken into hydrogen and oxygen. Then reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. Okay, what is this reduction? You will learn a little bit more in chemistry. This reduction does not mean subtracting. Okay, this is a type of reaction, okay, which is called reduction and oxidation. I leave that for chemistry, right? Okay, you will learn about it in the first chapter itself, chemical reactions. It's there in that chapter itself. So this is not subtracting. It is a type of a chemical reaction. Right. So this is important. Sometimes they ask you what are the steps of photosynthesis. So these are our three steps which you must know. Oh, I made an arrow here by mistake. Okay, let me know when you've taken it down, then I'll show you this nice video. It's a 3-minute video. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am. This one.
Okay. Done. Okay. Let me know once you're done, Aryan. Okay. Till the time is writing, yeah, I'll tell you all one more thing. Yeah, I think I've told the students who are there for grade 9, I told them multiple times. But for the new students, I wanted to tell you. When you go to YouTube, no, there is this channel called TED. Yeah, not sure if you've heard of it or watched those videos, but you can check it out after today's class, right? When you go to this TED channel, you can see there are a lot of videos on a lot of different subjects. It's not just on bio or physics or chemistry in particular. There are videos on maths also. There are videos on riddles, philosophy, games, basic questions. Things like what is a pandemic, which is a better idea. I mean, using soap or sanitizer is better in a pandemic. Which is better? What is a coronavirus? Does milk really help you? Why do you dream? Things like that. There are a lot of different topics and different questions. Okay, ma'am, done. Okay, right? So a lot of different questions and topics. Of course, there are many videos on bio as well. So you can always check out these videos. They are all animated. It's not TED Talk. Yeah, I mean, even I find TED Talk boring sometimes, so I can completely understand. These are not TED Talks. These are animated, like 2 to 3 minute videos. Nice ones. Okay, so yeah, yeah. If I don't think we'll reach digestion today, but digestion may have included one TED video. Yeah, so when you are bored reading things but you still want to study, you can watch those videos, right? Okay.
Process of photosynthesis. A look around at nature is an absolute treat to our senses. We all enjoy the colors and fragrance of plants, but seem to forget about their important contribution. Plants are an absolute necessity for life on Earth. It is so because of the process of photosynthesis. A closer look at a plant shows that it is firmly. These roots of tubes transport it to the stem, and then to the leaf. Maximum energy from sunlight. A leaf is a very important part of the plant. Photosynthesis, the ultimate provider of food and oxygen, occurs in the leaf thin lamina, which is joined to the stem by a petiole. The flattened lamina provides large.
Now see this carefully. They're showing you the cross section of the leaf here.
Leaf shows the upper and lower layers of cells, which are flat and irregular. Below the upper layer have specialized organelles called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain the pigment chlorophyll, which gives the green. The next layer has loosely arranged cells with large air. Also shows tubes specific for transporting the absorbed. The lower layer has many pores called stomata. Each stoma is surrounded by 2 guard cells, which regulate opening and closing of the stomata. Aside from the environment through these stomata, which after passing through air spaces, by the chloroplast. The capacity for trapping energy from sunlight. And this energy is used to synthesize oxygen from carbon dioxide and water. These molecules diffuse out of the chloroplast, all parts of the plant aiding in their growth. Out through the stomata. Synthesis. Oxygen is given as the life-sustaining gaseous component of the atmosphere, plant, and used for growth. To summarize,
Right. Yeah. Summary is the same thing again. Yeah. I hope you saw the leaf, the leaf part. That was what I wanted to show you. Right. This entire. Okay. Here it is. Yeah. This part especially. That the upper layer is the epidermis. Right. This is the epidermis. These are your chloroplast containing cells. These are other cells with air spaces, right? You don't need to know which cells they are. And these orangish things are stomata and guard cells. We talk about those also. Yeah, main thing I wanted to show you was this, and I'll show you how water, carbon dioxide, everything enters and reaches correctly, right? And then how glucose and oxygen is given back. So glucose is transported via phloem to different parts, and oxygen will be given out through stomata again. Okay. Right. Right. So we spoke about stomata, right? Okay. So stomata are basically pores. Yeah, this is where some of you tend to get confused, right? You saw the orange part, which is basically okay, cells like this, right? So what you tend to get confused is you think that this is stomata. Okay, this is not stomata. This is stomata. The pore or the opening is called the stomata. Whereas these blue kidney-shaped shells, kidney-shaped cells became like a tongue twister. These are called as guard cells. Okay. So be very clear when you're learning it only. Stomata is the pore. Okay, stomata is the opening or the pore. Okay, you can write this down. This slide is important. And if you are able to draw this diagram, roughly, please do that as well. Again, important. Yeah, entire slide is important. Okay. So stomata, they are also called stoma. Okay, singular stoma or stomata. Right? They are the pores present in the underside of the leaf, as we saw. Right? Okay, tiny pores present on the underside of the leaves. And what is the importance of these pores is this is where the gaseous exchange happens. What is the gaseous exchange? Is basically O2 given out and CO2 taken in, right? Taken in. Okay, one of the disadvantages of having this pore is that whenever the pore opens, some amount of water also leaves. Okay, irrespective of whether it is being opened to take in CO2 or give out O2, some amount of water loss always happens once the pore is open. Okay, and plant, so to minimize this loss of water, the plant closes the pores when not required. And what are these guard cells? Are basically these two bean shaped or kidney shaped cells around the stomata, which regulate the opening and closing of this pore. Okay, so important. What is stomata? What is guard cells? What do they do? So stomata basically is used for exchange of gases, versus the guard cell is the one which regulates the opening and closing of the stomata. You can add the word regulates here, right? Okay. Yeah, this figure is important is because it it involves or it tells you the phenomenon by which the pore is opened and closed. For that, we have to go back to grade 9 for a little bit, right? In grade 9, we had studied in cells chapter, we had studied one kind of transport system called osmosis. Does anybody remember what is osmosis?
Ma'am, the water like entering and leaving. I mean, the cell. I'm watering something like.
Okay. Yeah, water entering and leaving, correct. But any direction it goes, is there anything required for it?
Like, ma'am, the pressure, like exosmosis and osmosis.
Correct. Those are the different types of osmosis, correct. But yeah, osmosis definition, you missed out some keywords. Okay. Okay, no worries. Anybody else remembers what is osmosis? Oh, you forgot. Very bad. No worries. Okay. Right. So end osmosis was basically okay. I'll label this. This is exosmosis and this is end osmosis. Okay, and I'll write the definition of osmosis here. Right. Osmosis is basically the movement of water molecules from a region of
High pressure to low pressure. I got it.
pressure nahi, concentration. Okay.
Okay.
High concentration to lower or low concentration via, okay, I did not leave any space to write. Wait. Lower concentration via a semi-permeable membrane. Correct? This was osmosis. Right? So this is how, so via osmosis, the opening and closing of the stomata is regulated. So what the guard cell does is whenever the stomata needs to be opened, it takes in water from the neighboring cells via osmosis. Okay, again, we shall not discuss osmosis in detail, that why it is swelling up and etc. etc. That all we did last year, right? But for now, you need to know that whenever the stomata needs to be opened, the guard cells will take in water. Because they take in water, they swell up, and that's why the pore opens. Right? There's an opening here. Okay. Same thing when the plant wants to close it. What it's going to do is the guard cells is going to give back the water to the neighboring cells. It's going to release whatever water it took. It's going to shrink back to its normal size, and that's how the pores will get closed again. Right? This all is not important. What is potassium, epidermal cells, blah blah blah. Don't bother about that. You only need to bother about the procedure happening here. That water goes in, it swells, and pore opens. Water goes out, shrinks back to original size, and pore is closed. This is the importance of this diagram. Right? Sometimes they ask you, usually they stick to just asking you about what is stomata, and sometimes they'll ask you guard cells, because 99% of the people are still confused. Like, even though you read this chapter 4 or 5 times, and when it used to be asked during the finals, right, before it was term 1, term 2, when you ask this question that what is stomata towards the end of the year, they'll tell you it is the kidney bean cells, the bean shaped cells around it. So that's why they only ask that question, what is stomata and what is guard cells, because they know you are confused even after all that time, right? So to avoid losing those precious 1 or 2 marks, be very, very clear. Stomata is the pore, okay? And guard cells are the ones opening and closing the pore. Okay, stomata is not a cell, it is a pore. Okay. Okay, have you taken this down?
Ma'am, just a second.
We'll do one more slide, which is on amoeba. Okay, we have nutrition in amoeba. We'll do that slide and then we'll call it a day. Then we'll do nutrition in humans next class. Once we do some sufficient part, like once we finish nutrition or nutrition and let's say respiration, then we'll play Kahoots and do a bit of quizzes here and there, so that you will also be, there'll not be too much studying, versus I can also know that you understood whatever we did till now. Okay, done?
Yes, ma'am.
Others done?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Now we have heterotrophic nutrition. So yeah, like autotrophs, auto was self, hetero means other. Okay, hetero, right? Other. So these organisms derive energy from other substances, which is basically from autotrophs. So what are the different, right? What are they called? Do you all remember? EVS questions. What are animals which feed on plants called?
Herbivores.
Correct. Herbivores. Then what are animals which feed on other animals called?
Carnivores.
Carnivores.
Correct. And humans are?
Omnivores.
Right. So Herbivores means the animal category which you are saying. What you all are saying now, vorous. When do you say vorous is when I am talking about the characteristic. Like suppose I say humans are omnivorous. Okay, I would say like that. Versus I would say humans example of omnivores. I messed up the spell. Is humans. Okay, I would say use these words in the context like this. Okay. Yeah, that's all EVS anyway, just examples. So all these categories come under heterotrophs. Right? All organisms apart from the ones which make their own food. Why am I saying organisms? Is because plants and some type of algae are also included. Some type of chemoautotrophs, which are some plants which make their food using chemicals, those are also included under autotrophs, right? So all other organisms apart from those would fall under the heterotrophic category. Okay. Okay, and now we come to that flowchart which we had kept aside, right? So this is important. You can take this down because this has the description as well, right? No worries, Swayam. We just did that previous slide, which was basically what is heterotrophs. Yeah. Yeah. So under heterotrophic nutrition, you have three types. Okay. One is called saprophytic, one is called parasitic, and one is called holozoic. Out of these three, I am sure you must have heard about parasitic, right? Parasites. You know what are parasites. Okay. Saprophytic and holozoic might be new to you. Okay. Sapro is always referred to whenever you are feeding on anything dead or decaying. Okay. Basically, sapro in Greek means rotten. Okay. It's come from the word rotten. Okay. So these kind of organisms, when I say they are saprophytic, means they derive their food or fuel or nutrients from dead and decaying or rotten matter, right? Like mold, yeast, you can add lots of fungi, which feed on decaying matter. Then you have parasitic mode. Parasitic mode there is one organism which will attach itself to another living organism and it will keep taking up food from them. Classic example of a parasite is, yes, Arshia.
Question, doesn't the parasite eventually kill like the host organism, like if it stays in their body for like too long?
That depends from case to case. Yes, that also happens sometimes, but usually they live in harmony. 99% of the time they don't really kill you, but yes, there are some examples where the parasite does end up killing the host as well. Okay. Yeah, classic example of parasite in humans would be leeches. I'm sure none of us hopefully would have had a chance to see them, right? They look like worms. They just attach to your skin and they keep sucking your blood like in huge quantities. Okay, and it's very difficult to pull them off from your skin. Okay, usually found in damp places or places where there is too much small grass kind of things, and in the forest usually. Yeah, I should have specified in the forest first. Yeah, in the forest where there is too much moisture or some place which receives rainfall continuously, those kind of areas. Another parasite in humans, there are many actually, but famous examples are leeches, tapeworms, flatworms also. Okay, tapeworms and flatworms are the classic worms which are parasites in humans. Another example is lice. You sometimes get lice infestation in your hair, right? They are also parasites.
Ma'am, aren't mosquitoes also parasitic?
Mosquitoes, parasitic. Okay. I am not sure if I would classify them as parasitic because see, they only require blood to lay their eggs. They don't really require our blood to survive. So I wouldn't really call them parasitic. If they were continuously feeding on human blood, then I would say yes, definitely they are parasitic. Like leeches, they definitely survive on blood continuously. Human, animal, anybody's blood, they need that blood. But mosquitoes may they survive on nectar as well. They are only when they need to lay their eggs, they need that blood. Okay.
Ma'am, what about for
Okay.
vulture?
What about vulture? Okay,
Yeah.
vulture won't be a parasite. No, no.
Not parasite. Will they be a will they be saprophytic or how is it? Because they do feed on dead and decaying organic matter, right? Not matter, but like animals.
No, no, no. They'll come under holozoic. Holozoic.
Okay,
Not.
all right.
So saprophytic may what happens is usually these substances, so the organisms here wait till the decay happens. We don't, we as in humans and most animals, we don't consume food which is decaying, right? We consume food which is fresh, even though we kill it and cook it or whatever, but it is freshly killed. I don't know how to explain this. Okay, right. But saprophytic may usually they start consuming the food once it is getting, once it is fermented or once it is decaying already.
All
That is
right. Okay, got it.
okay. Right. Yeah, coming back, tapeworms are found in the intestine, human intestines, usually. Flatworms depends, intestines or brain, sometimes, yeah. If it goes to the brain, there is a problem, but if it's in the intestine, you don't really come to know that you really have got a, worm infestation. Right. These are some of common parasites. Example, even lice. Lice are what I was telling, lice in your hair. Right. Others are here. There are a lot of examples of parasites. Some fishes are also parasites for other fishes. Many, many, many examples are there. You can pick up any and take those down. And coming to holozoic, holozoic is the important one. Here, the word holo has come from the Greek word which means whole. Okay, and zoo definitely. If you keep studying bio, you will realize that whenever you see the word zoo, it refers to animals. Okay, anything, even if you might come across a lot of words, zoonotic. Then if you take up bio later and you have to choose like a section or a subspecialty, you can choose between botany and zoology. So zoology is basically study of animals, botany is study of plants, right? So zoo in biology, if you see ZO anywhere, is always animals. Okay, so basically this word broken down means we are deriving our food from other other animals or from autotrophs, right? Whole food which is then broken down and digested in our system. So we don't really make ready made or broken down food. We consume whole food and digest it inside. That's what it means. Okay, yeah. Example is humans and almost all animals fall under holozoic category. So examples for parasitic and saprophytic are limited, but everybody else comes under holozoic. Okay. Okay. Done. Have you taken down this table?
Yes, ma'am.
Last one.
Okay. Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think we'll have to push it. Okay, push the amoeba for. ठीक है. I'll do that. I'll start from here in the next class. I don't want to rush this. I wanted to show you how amoeba looks also. ठीक है. So I'll stop at this. So things to do after class, you can send scan your notes I hope you've taken it down. We didn't do much, right? So scan your notes and send it on the group. And what else to do after class? Yeah, that's it. Before we start the next class, you can revise whatever we did and then come so that we can, quickly start the next part of the chapter. Okay. Anybody has any questions for today's class? Anything you want me to repeat? You didn't understand? Anything? No.
No,
No, ma'am.
Okay. Class was interesting or did you get bored?
ma'am, interesting.
Yeah, I'm generally asking so that I know that whether I should make it more video oriented or whether I should, keep it like this or not. For that I'm asking.
Mom is like okay, but like now I think after the offline is better.
Achha, offline is better. Okay. Okay. ठीक है. Okay. Right. So yeah, at any point, if you feel you are getting bored or the theory is getting too much, you can always let me know. Okay, so that I can come up with something to make it interesting for you. Right. Yeah. I don't want to put you to sleep. ठीक है then. No, I will. Yeah, the next class is also there at 4:30.